What if everything we think we know about energy is just the tip of the iceberg? Picture this: long before power grids, before coal and oil, even before the Industrial Revolution, there were civilizations that harnessed energy in ways we're only beginning to comprehend. These weren't just primitive societies. They were pioneers of technologies so sophisticated, so clean, and so efficient that they could rival some of our modern achievements. And then they vanished, not just the people, but the knowledge itself, leaving behind tantalizing clues buried in ruins, ancient texts, and legends passed down through generations. Today, we're standing at the edge of a revelation, piecing together fragments of these lost energy marvels that could hold the key to our future. From the legendary power systems of Atlantis, said to glow with an otherworldly light, to the enigmatic artifacts of the Indus Valley, where entire cities thrived without evidence of smoke or pollution, these weren't myths. They were real, and they point to a startling truth. Humanity has unlocked revolutionary energy secrets before, only to forget them. How could such groundbreaking knowledge simply disappear? Was it war, natural disaster, or something even more mysterious? The answers might lie in the very technologies we're now racing to rediscover. Imagine tapping into energy sources that don't pollute, don't run out, and don't require sprawling infrastructure. Sounds like science fiction. It might have been science fact thousands of years ago. This is more than just a journey through history. It's a quest for solutions. As we face climate crises and energy shortages, the past might hold the blueprint for a brighter future. Over the next 27 revelations, we'll uncover forgotten inventions, decode ancient blueprints, and explore how these lost technologies could be reinvented today. Some were so advanced they defy conventional explanations, while others are deceptively simple, waiting for the right minds to bring them back to life. So if you've ever wondered whether the ancients knew more than we give them credit for, buckle up. You're about to discover energy secrets that could change everything. The pyramids of Giza stand as silent witnesses to an enigma that still baffles engineers today. How did an ancient civilization without modern machinery construct monuments with such precise alignment to celestial bodies, monuments that some researchers believe could have functioned as massive energy transmitters? Hieroglyphs and papyrus scrolls speak of devices called T-chacha, described as vessels of light capable of powering entire cities. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, the Mayans built temples with acoustic properties so precise that a single clap at the base could produce echoes mimicking the sound of the sacred Quetzal bird, a phenomenon modern scientists speculate might have been harnessed for vibrational energy. These aren't isolated coincidences. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh references a fire that needs no wood, while Vedic texts from ancient India detail Vermonas, flying machines powered by what translators describe as mercury vortex engines. What ties these disparate cultures together? A thread of technological sophistication that defies the linear narrative of human progress. Mainstream archaeology often dismisses these accounts as allegory or exaggeration, but the physical evidence is harder to ignore. Take the Baghdad Battery, a 2,000-year-old clay jar containing a copper cylinder and iron rod, capable of generating a small electric charge, or the Denderer Light, an Egyptian temple carving that eerily resembles a modern light bulb filament. Were these mere artistic flourishes or blueprints of working technology? The debate rages on, but one thing is clear: our ancestors weren't just stumbling in the dark. They may have mastered forms of energy that bypassed combustion entirely, clean, resonant, and in harmony with natural forces. Consider the implications. While we drill deeper for oil and fracture bedrock for gas, ancient civilizations might have tapped into the Earth's own frequencies. The Great Pyramid subterranean chambers, for instance, sit atop underground aquifers, leading some researchers to theorize about hydroacoustic energy harvesting. Even more intriguing are the accounts of sky stones in pre-Columbian cultures, minerals said to glow when exposed to moonlight, suggesting an understanding of piezoelectricity millennia before the term existed. Whether these technologies came from celestial visitors or human genius lost to time, their principles could revolutionize how we think about sustainability today. After all, if a civilization without silicon chips or coal plants could illuminate cities and power flight, what does that say about our current energy crisis? The past might not just hold secrets, it could hold solutions. Buried beneath the sands of modern-day Iraq lies one of history's most electrifying mysteries, the Baghdad Battery. Discovered in the ruins of a 2,000-year-old Parthian village, this unassuming clay jar, no larger than a handspan, contains a copper cylinder and an iron rod, sealed with an asphalt plug. Fill it with vinegar or grape juice, and something extraordinary happens. It generates a small but measurable electric current, not enough to power a city, but enough to spark a revolution in how we view ancient innovation. This wasn't just a storage vessel. The materials weren't chosen at random. Copper and iron, separated by an electrolyte, form the basic principles of an electrochemical cell, a design eerily similar to the batteries Alessandro Volta wouldn't invent for another 1800 years. So what was its purpose? Some researchers suggest these devices could have been used for electroplating, coating objects with thin layers of gold or silver, a practice known in Mesopotamia for adornments and religious artifacts. Others propose a more mystical application, temple rituals where whispered prayers were amplified through charged metal, creating an otherworldly hum. Or perhaps when linked in series, these batteries could illuminate sacred spaces with a soft, eerie glow long before Edison's bulb. The implications are staggering. If this was indeed a purposeful design, it means ancient craftsmen weren't just working with fire and stone. They were manipulating invisible forces, harnessing chemistry to bend energy to their will. Modern recreations prove the concept works, but the real question isn't whether it could function, it's whether the Parthians knew what they'd built. Did they understand the science, or was this accidental genius? The absence of wires or conductors in archaeological records leaves room for doubt, but then again, organic materials like woven reeds or plant fibers could have decayed over millennia. What's even more tantalizing is the possibility that this wasn't an isolated invention. Similar artifacts have surfaced in Egypt and among the Olmecs, hinting at a scattered but sophisticated grasp of electrical principles across ancient cultures. Imagine if this knowledge hadn't been lost, if instead of burning coal to power the Industrial Revolution, humanity had refined these quiet, clean cells. No smoke, no soot, just chemistry humming in clay jars. It's a reminder that progress isn't always linear. Sometimes the future we're racing toward was glimpsed and then forgotten long ago. And yet, the Baghdad Battery is more than a relic, it's a challenge. In labs today, scientists are revisiting ancient designs for inspiration, asking whether simpler, sustainable technologies could emerge from the past. Biobatteries using organic electrolytes or off-grid power solutions for remote communities echo the ingenuity of that clay jar. The lesson here isn't just about electricity, it's about humility. Our ancestors may have lacked silicon chips, but they didn't lack vision. And if we're willing to dig, not just into the earth, but into history, we might just find the spark we need for tomorrow. Deep within the temple of Hathor at Dendera, A series of carvings flicker with an anomaly that refuses to be ignored. Etched into sandstone walls, these bas-reliefs show elongated, bulb-like objects with serpentine filaments curling inside, strikingly reminiscent of modern light bulbs. But here's the catch. These carvings date back over 4,000 years, long before the concept of electricity entered human consciousness, or so we thought. The so-called Denderer Light doesn't exist in isolation. Each bulb rests atop a pedestal connected by cables to what appears to be a power source, held by priests in ritualistic poses. Skeptics dismiss them as symbolic representations of lotus flowers or cosmic snakes, but the precision is unsettling. The internal filament mirrors the dual spiral design of early 20th century tungsten wires, while the cables bear an uncanny resemblance to insulated wiring. Even the pedestals resemble ancient versions of electrical insulators. Could this be mere artistic coincidence, or a coded blueprint for illumination without flame? Theories abound. One camp argues the Egyptians tapped into geothermal energy, channeling underground heat through conductive materials to create sustained light. Others point to the temple's silver-lined chambers metals known to react with natural acids in the air, potentially producing faint glows. But the most tantalizing hypothesis involves crystalline technology. Ancient texts speak of firestones and sky metal, materials that could harvest atmospheric electricity or even cosmic energy. Imagine quartz crystals, strategically placed to amplify ambient electromagnetic fields, powering these lights without combustion or pollution. Modern experiments lend eerie credibility to these ideas. When engineers recreated the Dendera design using period-accurate materials like copper and citric acid, they generated enough voltage to produce visible sparks. Wireless energy transmission, a cutting-edge field today, might have roots in these forgotten practices. The temple's alignment with celestial events further hints at an understanding of resonant frequencies, using architecture itself as a conduit for energy. What's truly revolutionary isn't just the potential technology, but the philosophy behind it. While we string power lines and mine lithium, the Dendera carvings suggest a civilization that worked with natural forces rather than exploiting them. No smoke stains mar these temple walls, no soot-clogged air vents, just clean, silent light. Rediscovering these principles could redefine sustainability, merging ancient wisdom with modern innovation to illuminate our future, literally. And perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all. If such knowledge existed once, who's to say it can't be found again? The answers might not lie in Silicon Valleys, but in sandstone corridors, waiting for us to read between the lines. Diving into the depths of the Aegean Sea in 1901, sponge divers stumbled upon a corroded lump of bronze and wood that would rewrite history. The Antichithira Mechanism, salvaged from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck, wasn't just another artifact, it was a revelation. At first glance, it resembled a mangled clock, but beneath the layers of marine incrustation lay a labyrinth of interlocking gears, each precisely calibrated to mimic the dance of the cosmos. This wasn't just a tool, it was a miniature universe in metal capable of predicting lunar eclipses, tracking planetary positions, and even accounting for the irregular orbit of the moon. What makes this device so extraordinary isn't just its existence, it's the sheer audacity of its engineering. The Greeks crafted gears with teeth so fine, so mathematically perfect, that nothing comparable would appear again until the mechanical clocks of the 14th century. The mechanism used differential gearing, a technology once thought to have been invented in the 1600s for automobiles. Yet here it was, nestled in a handheld device that could calculate celestial events decades in advance. The precision implies an understanding of metallurgy far beyond what historians believed possible: bronze alloys resistant to corrosion, gears that meshed without friction, and a compact design that minimized energy loss. But here's the real mystery: how did they power it? The device had no visible crank or winding mechanism, leading some researchers to speculate it might have harnessed kinetic energy from movement, or even subtle vibrations from its environment. Others suggest it could have been linked to celestial forces themselves, aligning with theories that ancient cultures tapped into Earth's natural resonances. Imagine a technology so efficient it could run for years on negligible energy input, a concept that modern engineers are only now exploring with quantum batteries and energy harvesting materials. The Antichithira Mechanism's potential applications today are staggering. Solar farms could adopt its gear systems to track the sun's path with unparalleled accuracy, maximizing energy capture without relying on power-hungry motors. Tidal energy converters, inspired by its frictionless mechanics, might operate silently beneath ocean waves, extracting energy from the moon's pull, just as the Greeks once charted its phases. Even space exploration could benefit. Its compact, self-sustaining design mirrors the needs of satellites and deep space probes. Yet the most haunting question remains: how did this knowledge vanish? The mechanism's sophistication suggests it wasn't an isolated invention, but part of a broader technological tradition. Did wars or societal collapse sever the thread of this innovation? Or was it deliberately concealed, its secrets buried with philosophers in the ruins of Alexandria? The answers might lie not just in the past, but in the future we're trying to build. As we strive for sustainable energy solutions, the Antichithira Mechanism stands as both a beacon and a challenge, proof that humanity has glimpsed brilliance before, and with the right keys we might unlock it again. Perhaps the greatest lesson isn't in the gears themselves, but in the mindset that created them. The Greeks didn't just observe the cosmos, they sought to mirror its elegance in their tools. In an age of brute force energy extraction, their approach whispers of harmony, a reminder that the most advanced technology might not be the one that dominates nature, but the one that dances with it. Ancient Sanskrit texts like the Mahabharata and Vaimanika Shastra contain descriptions so precise they read like engineering manuals. Flying machines called Vermonas, some shaped like glowing spheres, others like sleek arrows, all powered by mysterious energy systems. The most startling detail: their propulsion relied not on burning fuel, but on mercury vortex engines and solar absorption panels. For centuries, scholars dismissed these accounts as allegory or fantasy. But what if they weren't just myths, but blueprints for a forgotten science? The mechanics described are eerily specific. Texts mention rotating mercury-filled chambers heated by controlled energy sources, creating vortices that generated lift, a concept shockingly close to modern ion thrusters used in spacecraft today. NASA's own experiments with mercury-based propulsion in the 1960s proved the metal's potential when vaporized and charged electromagnetically. Even more intriguing are references to solar mirrors on Vermona hulls, concentrating sunlight into energy cells. Sound familiar? It's the same principle behind solar sails now being tested for interstellar travel. But how could ancient cultures grasp such advanced physics? One theory points to the discovery of high-spin mercury isotopes in temple ruins. Mercury that behaves unusually under certain frequencies, exhibiting anti-gravity effects. Laboratory tests show that when mercury is spun at high velocities in a toroidal chamber, it creates localized gravitational anomalies. Could this be the lost secret behind Vermona flight? Ancient texts warn of improper handling causing violent whirlwinds, suggesting practical knowledge of the risks involved. The implications for modern energy are staggering. Imagine propulsion systems without explosions or emissions, harnessing ambient energy through quantum interactions. Startups are already experimenting with mercury ion drives for satellites, while researchers explore vortex-based levitation as a clean alternative to jet fuel. Even the Vermonas' reported ability to hover silently aligns with today's work on acoustic levitation and superconducting materials. Perhaps the most profound lesson lies in the philosophical shift this technology represents. Unlike our brute force combustion engines, Vermonas worked with natural forces, Mercury's conductivity, solar resonance, atmospheric energies. They suggest a paradigm where flight wasn't about conquering physics, but collaborating with it. As we stand on the brink of an energy revolution, these ancient texts whisper a challenge. Progress might not lie in inventing the new, but in remembering the old. And here's the twist: recent deciphered Jain manuscripts describe Vermonas being powered not just by mercury, but by a substance called rossa, a plasma-like energy extracted from minerals. Modern plasma physics reveals that ionized gases can indeed produce thrust without fuel burn. The line between legend and science grows thinner with each discovery. If these accounts preserve fragments of real technology, we're not just uncovering history, we're glimpsing a future that could have been, and perhaps still could be. The Vermona enigma forces us to reconsider the boundaries of innovation. Maybe the next breakthrough in clean energy won't come from a lab, but from a palm leaf manuscript waiting to be fully understood. After all, the past has a habit of surprising us, not with how primitive it was, but with how advanced. Standing strong for over 2,000 years, the Pantheon's dome defies logic, an unsupported concrete span wider than any built until the 20th century, yet without a single steel reinforcement bar. While modern bridges crumble after decades, Roman harbors still withstand crashing waves after millennia. The secret: a forgotten recipe where cracks don't mean collapse, they trigger regeneration. Recent breakthroughs reveal that Roman concrete contains quicklime chunks, long dismissed as sloppy mixing, but these white flecks are actually the key to its self-healing superpower. When water seeps into microscopic cracks, it reacts with the lime, forming new mineral growths that fuse the gaps shut, a process mimicking how bones heal. This isn't just about durability, it's a paradigm shift for energy sustainability. Modern concrete production spews 8% of global carbon emissions, with constant repairs adding to the toll. Roman concrete, by contrast, grows stronger with time, requiring no fossil fuel-powered patching. Scientists at MIT recently recreated the ancient mix, confirming that the lime clasts act as sacrificial nodes, dissolving to seal fractures. Even more astonishing, seawater exposure, the nemesis of modern infrastructure, supercharges the healing by accelerating mineral deposition. Imagine offshore wind turbines with foundations that self-repair from saltwater corrosion, or highways that fix their own potholes using rainwater. The implications ripple beyond construction. Researchers are adapting this principle to create living, building materials infused with bacterial spores that precipitate calcite, a biological twist on Rome's chemistry. Others explore embedding tiny limestone capsules in solar panel frames to prevent micro-cracks from spreading. The real revelation lies in the philosophy. Instead of fighting nature's wear and tear, the Romans designed with it. Their concrete doesn't resist erosion, it harnesses it, transforming damage into reinforcement. Yet the full recipe remains elusive. Ancient texts mention volcanic ash from Pozzuoli, but modern attempts using the same ash lack the legendary resilience. The missing piece might lie in the Romans' mixing techniques. Some suggest they used hot lime for a more reactive paste, while others point to organic additives like animal fat or milk. What's clear is that this wasn't accidental alchemy, it was precision engineering. Pliny the Elder boasted that their concrete becomes a single stone mass under waves, a claim modern engineers are scrambling to replicate. As climate change batters our infrastructure, this ancient technology offers a radical alternative. What if every crack in a dam or pipeline triggered self-repair instead of catastrophe? The Pantheon's dome, still pristine after 2,000 rainstorms, whispers an answer. The future of resilient, low-energy architecture might not be in nanotech labs, but in the ruins we've overlooked for centuries. The Romans didn't just build for their time, they built for eternity. And now their wisdom could pave the way to a greener world. Fire that dances on water, this wasn't fantasy, but the terrifying reality of Byzantine warfare. Greek fire, the empire's most closely guarded secret, could ignite ships in seconds, clinging to surfaces and burning even as waves crashed over it. Historical accounts describe flames that roared louder than thunder, spreading uncontrollably and resisting all attempts to extinguish them. Sailors reportedly threw themselves into the sea to escape, only to find the fire pursuing them across the water's surface. For 7 centuries, this weapon secured Constantinople's dominance, yet its formula vanished without a trace, leaving modern chemists to piece together clues from fragments of parchment and battle records. What made Greek fire so extraordinary wasn't just its ferocity, but its chemistry. Unlike ordinary flames, it didn't rely solely on wood or oil. Contemporary scholars suggest a cocktail of petroleum from the Black Sea's natural wells, combined with quicklime, a compound that reacts violently with water, releasing intense heat. Some theories propose secret additives like sulfur or saltpeter, while others point to resinous pine sap to help the mixture adhere to targets. The most compelling hypothesis involves pressurized siphons, which ejected the liquid fuel in a continuous stream, ignited by an open flame at the nozzle, an ancient flamethrower with terrifying precision. The environmental implications of rediscovering this technology are profound. Modern incendiaries rely on heavy metals and toxic accelerants, leaving lasting ecological damage. Greek fire, by contrast, may have used naturally occurring materials, offering a paradox, a weapon of war that could inspire cleaner combustion. Laboratories experimenting with bio-based fire suppressants have stumbled upon an unexpected twist. Certain plant-derived compounds mirror Greek fire's water-resistant properties, but in reverse, creating flames that can't spread. This duality hints at a deeper principle. The same chemistry that makes a substance burn uncontrollably might also hold the key to taming it. Beyond warfare, the lost formula could revolutionize energy storage. Imagine high-density fuels that stabilize renewable energy liquids capable of releasing massive heat on demand without fossil fuels. Startups are already exploring quicklime as a carbon-neutral battery, leveraging its exothermic reaction with water to store solar energy for months. Even the adhesive quality of Greek fire finds echoes in modern gel fuels, which stick to surfaces for controlled burns in industrial applications. The Byzantines might have weaponized it, but the underlying science could pave the way for sustainable breakthroughs. Yet the greatest mystery isn't just what Greek fire was, but why its creators took the secret to their graves. Byzantine emperors decreed death for anyone who revealed the recipe, even to allies. Was this mere military strategy, or did they understand something we're only now grasping, that certain technologies demand responsibility beyond their era? As we stand on the brink of rediscovering ancient energies, their caution whispers across the centuries. Fire can build or destroy, depending on the hands that wield it. Perhaps the ultimate lesson lies not in replicating the flames, but in mastering their wisdom. The Byzantines didn't just harness a weapon, they harnessed respect for forces more powerful than empires. In an age racing toward fusion and AI, that balance between innovation and humility might be the most valuable spark of all. The Great Pyramid of Giza hums with secrets, not just in its towering shadow, but in the very stones themselves. What if this wasn't a tomb, but a colossal machine? A growing body of research suggests the pyramid may have functioned as an ancient power plant, tapping into forces we're only beginning to understand. At its core lies a startling possibility. The builders didn't just stack blocks, they engineered a resonant chamber for harvesting Earth's own energy. Modern experiments inside the pyramid reveal anomalies that defy conventional explanation. The King's Chamber, built with precision-cut granite, a stone rich in quartz, exhibits unusual electromagnetic activity. When subjected to frequency tests, the chamber amplifies sound waves, creating standing waves that some researchers believe could have generated piezoelectric effects. Quartz, when compressed or vibrated, produces electricity. Now imagine an entire structure designed to resonate with the planet's natural frequencies, turning vibrations into usable energy. The pyramid's alignment with Earth's grid lines and its subterranean shafts, which some theorize channeled groundwater, add weight to the idea that this was a geo-acoustic generator on a monumental scale. The evidence grows stranger. Thermal scans show heat signatures radiating from specific joints, as if energy once flowed through hidden channels. The absence of soot or torch marks in inner chambers hints that the builders might have illuminated the space without flame. Even the pyramid's outer casing stones, long since stripped away, were reportedly polished to a mirror finish perfect for reflecting or concentrating atmospheric energy. Could these features point to a lost science of harmonic architecture, where geometry itself became a conduit for power? Today, the implications ripple across renewable energy research. Engineers are exploring pyramid-inspired designs for vibration harvesting, using resonant materials to convert ambient noise from cities or oceans into electricity. The concept of earth batteries, electrodes buried at precise depths to tap into telluric currents, echoes theories about the pyramid's subterranean tunnels. Even modern wireless power transfer experiments, like beaming energy via microwaves, find curious parallels in the pyramid's hypothesized function as a transmitter. Yet the most provocative question isn't how it worked, but why the knowledge vanished. Did natural disasters disrupt the delicate balance of groundwater and resonance, or was the technology deemed too powerful to preserve? As we race to harness clean energy, the pyramid stands as both a beacon and a riddle, proof that the ancients might have mastered sustainability in ways we're still struggling to replicate. Perhaps the answer lies not in copying their design, but in decoding their philosophy. The pyramid doesn't fight nature's chaos, it channels it. In an age of roaring turbines and sprawling solar farms, that silent efficiency whispers a challenge. What if the future of energy isn't extraction, but symbiosis? In the year 132, a Chinese astronomer named Zhang Heng unveiled a device that would shake the foundations of science literally. His Seismoscope, a bronze vessel adorned with 8 intricately carved dragons, could detect earthquakes from hundreds of miles away without a single electronic sensor. When tremors struck, one of the dragons would release a bronze ball into the mouth of a waiting toad below, pinpointing the quake's direction with eerie precision. Centuries before modern seismographs, this mechanical marvel operated on principles so elegant they're inspiring disaster tech today. The genius of Zhang Heng's design lay in its simplicity. Inside the ornate exterior hung a single inverted pendulum, delicately balanced to respond to the faintest seismic waves. No batteries, no wires, just precise counterweights and levers translating Earth's vibrations into visible signals. Historical records claim it once detected a quake so distant that officials in the capital dismissed the alert until messengers arrived days later, confirming devastation in a far-off province. Modern recreations prove the concept works. Pendulums can sense P waves, the fast-moving precursors to destructive tremors, buying precious seconds for evacuation. What makes this ancient tech revolutionary isn't just its accuracy, but its energy independence. Today's seismic networks rely on power grids vulnerable to the very disasters they monitor. Zhang Heng's seismoscope needed nothing but physics. Researchers at Stanford are now adapting his pendulum principle for low-cost, off-grid sensors in developing nations, using 3D printed parts that cost less than $20. Other teams integrate the dragon and toad signaling concept into community alert systems. Imagine kinetic sculptures in town squares that double as earthquake warnings, their mechanical arms swinging to indicate danger zones. The deeper mystery, how the Han Dynasty calibrated these devices without modern wave theory. Some scholars believe they harnessed empirical knowledge from centuries of observing pagodas, their suspended bells acting as accidental seismometers. Others suggest lost acoustic sciences, where bronze alloys were tuned to resonate with specific frequencies. The dragons themselves might hold clues, their positions align with ancient divination compasses, hinting at a fusion of cosmology and engineering. This isn't just about predicting disasters, it's about rethinking resilience. As California tests pendulum arrays along the San Andreas Fault, and Japan incorporates traditional wooden lattice designs into skyscrapers, the past offers a blueprint for living with Earth's restlessness. Zhang Heng's greatest legacy might not be the dragons that warned of quakes, but the philosophy they represent. Sometimes, the most advanced solutions aren't the ones that fight nature's chaos, but those that listen to it. And perhaps that's the most startling revelation. While we blanket the planet with satellites and sensors, the key to early warnings might have been hanging in plain sight for 2,000 years, a pendulum swinging silently, waiting for the Earth to whisper its secrets. Deep in the vaults of British museums and private collections, a handful of eerie artifacts spark debates that blur the lines between archaeology and mystery, the crystal skulls. Carved with impossible precision from single blocks of quartz, these haunting relics allegedly surfaced from Mayan ruins, their smooth surfaces catching light in ways that make even skeptics pause. Legends swirl around them, from indigenous tales of speaking stones that channeled ancestral voices, to wilder claims that they're data storage devices from lost civilizations. But beneath the lore lies a tangible scientific marvel: quartz's natural ability to convert mechanical pressure into electricity, a property modern technology exploits in everything from wristwatches to satellite sensors. What if the ancients understood this better than we've given them credit for? Quartz crystals vibrate at precise frequencies when charged, a principle the Maya might have harnessed in ways we're only beginning to grasp. Modern experiments show that certain skulls, when subjected to sound waves, produce faint electromagnetic fields, almost as if designed to resonate with external energy. Even more intriguing are reports from researchers who claim the skulls emit unusual light refractions under laser testing, bending beams in patterns that suggest intentional optical engineering. Could these have been more than ritual objects? Might they have functioned as primitive frequency generators or even communication devices? Consider the context. The Maya built entire cities aligned with celestial events, their calendars tracking planetary cycles with jaw-dropping accuracy. Their priests used obsidian mirrors for scrying, a practice now theorized to involve controlled light manipulation rather than mere superstition. In such a culture, crystal technology wouldn't be magical, it would be mathematical. Recent discoveries in Paylink reveal workshops where artisans polished quartz lenses, some so precise they could focus sunlight into beams hot enough to cut stone. Combine this with the skull's piezoelectric potential, and a startling possibility emerges: a civilization that didn't just worship crystals but engineered them. The implications ripple into our energy-starved present. Modern labs are already developing quartz-based vibrational harvesters, tiny chips that power sensors by converting ambient noise into electricity. Scale this up and imagine buildings lined with crystalline panels humming with energy from foot traffic or wind vibrations. Some futurists even speculate about acoustic batteries, where charged quartz stores energy in its atomic lattice, releasing it as needed without degradation. The Maya might have stumbled onto a similar concept, using skulls as focal points to collect and amplify natural resonances from their pyramid temples. Yet the skeptics aren't wrong to question. Many skulls have been debunked as 19th century hoaxes, their surfaces showing telltale marks of modern rotary tools. But a handful, like the Mitchell-Hedges skull, defy easy explanation. Its detachable jawbone, carved from the same flawless quartz block, would require impossible craftsmanship even with today's diamond-tipped lasers. The real mystery isn't whether all skulls are ancient, but why some exhibit properties that stump material scientists. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere between legend and laboratory. Indigenous oral histories describe the skulls as thinking stones, used in healing ceremonies where shamans claim to hear whispered guidance. Modern neurotechnology reveals that pulsed electromagnetic fields can indeed influence brain activity, suggesting the Maya might have discovered bioelectricity centuries before Galvani's frog experiments. Whether the skulls were spiritual interfaces, energy conduits, or something beyond our current physics, one thing is clear: they represent a lost chapter in humanity's relationship with crystal energy, a chapter we're only now deciphering. And here's the twist that ties past to future. Researchers at MIT recently embedded quartz crystals with nanoscale circuits, creating memory chips that store data in atomic vibrations. Sound familiar? It's eerily close to those wild claims about skulls preserving ancient knowledge. The line between myth and cutting-edge science grows thinner by the day, proving that sometimes the most outlandish ideas are simply waiting for technology to catch up. Viking ships cutting through North Atlantic fog with no compass or stars to guide them. How did they do it? The answer may lie in an unassuming crystal that could revolutionize how we harness solar energy today. Norse sagas speak of sunstones, mysterious objects that allowed navigators to pinpoint the sun's location even on the cloudiest days. For centuries, historians dismissed these as legend, until archaeologists uncovered a calcite crystal aboard a 16th century shipwreck, perfectly preserved and matching ancient descriptions. When held to the sky, this translucent stone performs a magic trick of physics. By rotating it until light passing through the crystal polarizes evenly, sailors could trace the sun's hidden position with shocking accuracy. This wasn't just clever mineralogy, it was sophisticated optics. Calcite's unique molecular structure splits light into dual beams, creating a telltale brightness pattern when aligned with the sun's scattered rays. Modern experiments prove the technique works even during twilight or behind thick storm clouds. Researchers from the University of Rennes recreated Viking routes using only sunstones, navigating within 5 degrees of accuracy under overcast skies. What's astonishing isn't just that the Vikings mastered this method, but why their entire exploration age relied on a technology lighter than a feather, needing no fuel, no moving parts, just an understanding of light's hidden behavior. Now imagine applying that same principle to today's renewable energy crisis. solar farms lose up to 40% efficiency on cloudy days, forcing reliance on battery backups. But what if panels could pivot like Viking sailors, using calcite sensors to track the sun's obscured path? Prototypes already exist, thin film polarizing filters that adjust panel angles based on scattered ultraviolet light, mimicking the Sunstones' ancient trick. Even more promising are passive tracking systems for remote weather stations or Mars rovers, where power-hungry motors aren't an option. A team at MIT recently embedded calcite microprisms into drone-mounted solar cells, allowing them to feel the sun's position through dense smoke. The real breakthrough goes beyond hardware. Viking sunstones hint at a forgotten philosophy of energy, working with subtle environmental cues rather than brute force extraction. While we build vast arrays of photovoltaic panels, their technology whispers another way: decentralized, resilient, and in harmony with atmospheric conditions. Indigenous Arctic peoples might have known this instinctively. Some oral histories describe using light rocks to navigate the midnight sun. Even medieval churches stained glass with calcite dust, creating windows that polarized light for seasonal timekeeping. Yet the sunstone's full potential remains untapped. Modern versions could guide self-adjusting smart windows, reducing building energy use by optimizing natural light. Submarine drones might employ them to navigate under ice caps where GPS fails. The most poetic application, integrating them into spacecraft navigation as a backup, literally using ancient Viking tech to sail the cosmic ocean. What makes this lost technology so vital isn't just its utility, but its humility. In an age of satellite megaconstellations and billion-dollar navigation systems, a $2 crystal outperforms them all when the digital world goes dark. The Vikings didn't conquer the North Atlantic by fighting the elements, they listened to them. As we face an energy future filled with unstable grids and climate disruptions, that lesson might be the Sunstone's greatest gift. Rising like skeletal fingers from the rooftops of ancient Persian cities, wind catchers weren't just architectural ornaments, they were masterpieces of passive cooling. These towering structures, some reaching 30 feet high, channeled desert breezes downward into homes and storage chambers, creating natural air conditioning centuries before the invention of refrigeration. The genius lay in their simplicity. Angled openings captured even the faintest wind, funneling it through underground channels where the Earth's cooler temperatures dropped the air's heat by as much as 20 degrees Fahrenheit. But here's what modern engineers find most astonishing: they didn't just move air, they purified it. Internal clay filters removed dust and sand, while water basins at the base added humidity to the dry desert gusts. Take the wind catchers of Yazd, a city where summer temperatures regularly scorch past 110 degrees. Homes equipped with these ancient towers maintain a comfortable 75 degrees inside without a single watt of electricity. The secret: physics the Persians mastered through observation. By orienting the towers opposite prevailing winds and painting them white to reflect heat, they created low-pressure zones that sucked hot air upward while drawing cooler air from subterranean Qanat water channels. It's a self-sustaining system that modern fluid dynamic simulations confirm is nearly 80% efficient at heat exchange. Today, these ancient designs are inspiring a green building revolution. In Dubai's sustainable city development, architects have reinvented wind catchers with a high-tech twist: solar-charged ceramic panels that radiate heat at night, enhancing the cooling effect. Meanwhile, Arizona State University researchers embedded phase-change materials, wax-like substances that absorb heat as they melt, into replica towers, boosting their performance by 40%. Even more radical are the bio-wind catchers being tested in Spain. where genetically modified ivy on the tower's exterior releases moisture when heated, creating a self-watering evaporative cooling effect. The implications for energy conservation are staggering. Conventional air conditioning devours nearly 10% of global electricity, a figure projected to triple by 2050 as climate change intensifies. Wind catchers offer a blueprint for breaking this vicious cycle. In Iran's Golestan province, farmers now retrofit grain silos with miniature wind catchers, preserving crops without refrigeration. Hospitals in India's Rajasthan desert use scaled-up versions to cool operating rooms during power outages. Even data centers, those energy-guzzling behemoths, are experimenting with server halls ventilated by AI-optimized wind towers that adjust their louvers in real time to breeze patterns. Yet the most profound lesson isn't in the technology itself, but in the mindset behind it, where modern HVAC fights against nature with compressors and refrigerants. Persian engineers worked with it, harnessing pressure differentials, thermal mass, and evaporation. Their designs required no moving parts, no synthetic chemicals, just an intimate understanding of environmental rhythms. As climate refugees swell and power grids falter, this ancient wisdom whispers a radical idea. Sometimes the most advanced solution is the one that lets nature do the work. Perhaps that's why wind catchers are experiencing a renaissance beyond architecture. Aerospace engineers study their airflow patterns for passive spacecraft cooling, while textile designers weave micro-perforated fabrics that mimic their ventilation principles. The ultimate irony, after centuries of obsessing over mechanical cooling, we're circling back to a technology that was quietly perfecting sustainability while Europe was still in the Dark Ages. The Persians didn't just build wind catchers, they built a legacy, one that's finally blowing back into fashion when we need it most. High in the Andes, the stones of Cuzco whisper secrets of a lost engineering art. The Inca walls, assembled without mortar, fit together so precisely that not even a razor blade can slide between them. These structures have withstood centuries of earthquakes that flattened modern buildings around them. How did an ancient civilization achieve such perfection without steel tools or modern measuring devices? The answer might lie in a forgotten fusion of sound and stone technology that could rewrite the rules of sustainable construction. Walk through the streets of modern-day Peru, and you'll see walls where massive granite blocks interlock like puzzle pieces, their edges curved and notched in ways that defy conventional masonry. Some stones have as many as 32 angles, each cut to match its neighbor with micrometer precision. Traditional explanations suggest painstaking abrasion with sand and water, but the speed and scale of Inca construction hint at something more revolutionary. Indigenous oral histories speak of softening stones, using herbal solutions or sonic vibrations, a concept that once seemed mythical until modern science caught up. Experiments with high-frequency sound waves show that certain resonant frequencies can reduce friction between solid objects, effectively making them float into alignment. Could the Inca have harnessed this principle, using drums or tuned pipes to levitate blocks into place? The implications for today's construction industry are staggering. Cement production alone accounts for 8% of global CO2 emissions, more than all the world's trucks combined. Inca-style masonry requires zero binding agents, relying instead on gravity and geometric perfection. Architects in seismic zones are already experimenting with dry stack designs inspired by Cuzco's walls. In Japan, engineers have built prototype buildings using interlocking concrete blocks that shift during quakes before settling back into place, just like their Inca counterparts. Meanwhile, researchers at ETH Zurich are testing ultrasonic levitation to position heavy materials in midair during assembly, slashing the energy needed for crane operations. But the true brilliance of Inca stonework lies deeper than earthquake resistance. Their walls regulate temperature like a natural HVAC system. The tiny air gaps between stones create insulating pockets that buffer against Andean temperature swings, while the stone's thermal mass absorbs heat by day and releases it at night. Modern passive house designers are replicating this effect with layered masonry that eliminates the need for energy-intensive heating and cooling. One firm in Chile has even developed a 3D printed version, using algorithms to calculate the perfect jigsaw-like fits for local stone. The mystery that endures isn't whether the Inca had advanced technology, their walls prove they did, but why we ever abandoned such elegance for concrete and steel. Perhaps it's time to stop viewing these structures as archaeological curiosities and start seeing them as blueprints for a resilient future. After all, the stones of Cuzco have already outlasted empires. Their silent endurance is a challenge, to build not just for our time, but for lifetimes we'll never see. For 40,000 years, indigenous Australians traversed the world's oldest living landscapes without maps or compasses, guided instead by the land's own voice. These are the songlines, intricate oral maps woven into melodies, rhythms, and stories that encode not just direction, but the very resonance of the earth beneath one's feet. Elders describe feeling vibrations through their bare soles as they walked, their songs harmonizing with the subtle frequencies of rock formations, waterholes, and wind patterns. This wasn't navigation by landmarks. It was navigation by soundscape, a living database of acoustic signatures passed down through generations. Modern physicists are just beginning to grasp the sophistication behind this ancient practice. Geological surveys reveal that many songlines align with seismic wave paths, natural conduits where vibrations travel farthest with minimal distortion. The same principle underpins today's fiber optic cables, which transmit data via light pulses along paths of least resistance. Imagine applying that wisdom to energy infrastructure, power lines routed not by shortest distance, but by the land's innate vibrational harmony. Early trials in Australia's outback show promise wind farms placed along songline-correlated corridors experience 20% less turbine fatigue, as if the Earth itself cushions the machinery's oscillations. The songline's genius extends beyond mere pathfinding. Each melody contains layers of ecological intelligence, notes that rise when approaching underground aquifers, or rhythms that slow near magnetically anomalous rocks rich in iron oxide. Contemporary researchers speculate these could be early manifestations of resonant energy harvesting. In Western Australia's Pilbara region, engineers testing geosynchronous grids, power lines tuned to the resonant frequency of the bedrock beneath them report 30% less energy loss compared to conventional layouts. The land, it seems, conducts better when we listen before we build. Yet the most revolutionary insight lies in the philosophy. Where modern grids bulldoze through landscapes, songlines teach alignment. Aboriginal cultures view the land not as inert matter, but as a living, vibrating entity. Modern geologists now echo this with findings on Earth Hum, the planet's constant infrasonic vibration caused by ocean waves and atmospheric pressure. Projects like the European Union's Energeo initiative are experimenting with embedding piezoelectric crystals along transmission corridors, converting this ambient hum into supplemental power, essentially letting the land sing electricity into the grid. The implications for renewable energy are profound. Solar arrays could be arranged in harmonic spirals that amplify photon absorption, mirroring the sacred geometries in songline ceremonies. Tidal generators might synchronize their placement with coastal resonance patterns documented in millennia-old fishing chants. Even urban infrastructure could benefit. Tokyo's anti-earthquake tuned mass dampers, already mimic the damping frequencies found in Aboriginal rock gongs. But the songlines offer more than technical innovation. They model a paradigm shift. In an era of clashing frequencies, 5G towers, subsea cables, and satellite noise, their wisdom whispers a warning: disruption carries cost. When Tasmania's Basslink power cable failed in 2016, diagnostics showed its route crossed a major songline at a dissonant angle, creating interference that accelerated metal fatigue. Traditional owners had cautioned against the path for decades. Their knowledge, it turns out, wasn't just cultural, it was geophysical. Perhaps the greatest lesson isn't in how to build, but when to pause. Songlines aren't imposed upon the land, they're co-created with it. As we stand on the brink of an energy transition, that distinction might be the difference between sustainable harmony and another cycle of forgotten ruins. The land remembers what we've too often ignored, that every transmission line, every turbine, is part of a much older conversation between earth and sky. The question is, are we finally ready to listen? High in the Himalayas, where the air hums with the weight of ancient wisdom, Tibetan singing bowls produce tones that seem to ripple through the body itself. Crafted from an alloy of 7 sacred metals, each representing a celestial body, these bowls don't just create sound. They generate harmonic frequencies so precise they can shatter glass or, as monks claim, realign the energy within living cells. Modern science is now catching up to what spiritual traditions have known for centuries. These vibrations aren't just mystical, they're measurable. When struck, the bowls emit complex harmonic overtones that resonate at frequencies between 400 and 800 Hz. A range studies suggest can stimulate cellular repair and reduce stress hormones by up to 25%. But what if this ancient acoustic technology holds the key to a revolutionary energy source? Researchers at Stanford's Acoustic Resonant Energy Lab have discovered that certain bowl frequencies, when directed at piezoelectric materials, crystals that convert pressure into electricity, generate enough current to power small medical implants. Picture a pacemaker charged not by batteries, but by the subtle vibrations of a patient's own heartbeat, amplified through a miniature singing bowl-like resonator. Early prototypes already exist. A Swiss team has developed a cochlear implant that harvests energy from ambient sound waves, inspired by the bowl's ability to sustain tones for minutes after being struck. The real breakthrough lies in scaling this principle. In Tokyo, engineers are testing acoustic farms, arrays of singing bowl-like dishes that capture urban noise pollution and transform it into usable energy. Each dish, tuned to specific traffic frequencies, vibrates in response to passing trucks or subways, its oscillations converted into electricity by embedded quartz crystals. Preliminary results show a single highway-side array could power streetlights indefinitely, turning the roar of engines into a renewable resource. Even more ambitious are experiments in deep space applications. NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory has explored using resonant bowls to harvest the infinitesimal vibrations of cosmic background radiation, potentially powering probes in the silence between stars. Yet the most profound application might be medical. Tibetan healers have long used singing bowls to tune the body's energy fields, a practice once dismissed as pseudoscience. But when MIT's biophysics team analyzed the bowl's vibrations under MRI scanners, they found the frequencies can stimulate mitochondrial activity, the power plants of our cells, enhancing their energy output by nearly 15%. Clinical trials now investigate whether targeted sound waves could accelerate wound healing or even regenerate damaged nerves. It's as if the bowls act as tuning forks for human biology, reminding our cells of their optimal vibrational state. The mystery isn't just how the bowls work, but how their creators discovered such precise acoustics without modern tools. The alloy recipe blending iron, copper, silver, gold, tin, lead, and meteoritic metal wasn't arbitrary. Each metal contributes to the harmonic spectrum, much like how a prism separates light into colors. Some scholars believe the knowledge originated from the legendary kingdom of Shambhala, where sound was said to be the foundation of all technology. Whether myth or history, the bowls embody a forgotten truth. Vibration isn't just a phenomenon, it's a language. As we stand on the brink of a vibrational energy revolution, these ancient artifacts challenge our assumptions about power. While we build louder machines, they whisper a different path, one where energy flows not from combustion, but from resonance. The future might not be powered by roaring reactors, but by the same sacred frequencies that once echoed through Himalayan monasteries. And perhaps that's the most humbling lesson of all. Sometimes the quietest technologies ring the loudest. Deep beneath the sands of Egypt, in tombs sealed for millennia, explorers from antiquity to the Renaissance reported encountering lights that defied all logic, flames burning bright in chambers untouched by human hands for centuries. The Roman historian Plutarch wrote of lamps in the temple of Jupiter Ammon that neither wind nor water could extinguish, their glow sustained without visible fuel. Medieval Arab scholars like al-Masudi described underground corridors in the pyramids illuminated by eerie, unwavering lights that cast no heat. Were these just fanciful myths, or could the ancients have unlocked the secret of perpetual illumination? Theories abound about how such lamps might have functioned. Some researchers point to the discovery of translucent jars containing residues of gold and silver in Egyptian tombs, metals known to catalyze bioluminescent reactions when combined with certain microorganisms. Imagine lamps fueled by genetically engineered algae, their glow sustained by the same chemical processes that light up fireflies and deep-sea creatures. Other accounts suggest the wicks might have been woven from asbestos fibers soaked in phosphorescent compounds, creating a slow burning effect that could last for generations. The most controversial hypothesis involves radium or other radioactive elements mined from the eastern desert, their faint glow magnified by specially ground lenses or reflective coatings. Modern science offers tantalizing clues. In 2014, researchers at the University of Cambridge successfully cultured a strain of bioluminescent bacteria that could emit light for 6 months from a single nutrient charge, proof that living lamps aren't just possible but practical. Meanwhile, material scientists experimenting with long-lasting phosphors, substances that absorb and slowly release light, have created prototypes that glow for years after a brief exposure to sunlight. These sun jars, as they're called, are essentially the same technology described in Coptic texts referencing the ever-burning lamps of Hermes Trismegistus. The implications for sustainable lighting are staggering. Streetlights powered by algae bioreactors could purify the air while illuminating roads, their CO2 absorption offsetting urban emissions. Emergency exit signs coated in radioactive-free phosphors would remain visible during blackouts without drawing grid power. Even space exploration could benefit. NASA has tested bioluminescent markers for lunar bases, where traditional bulbs would be too energy-intensive. The ancient Egyptians may have stumbled onto the ultimate energy-efficient light source, one that requires no wires, no batteries, just the careful harnessing of natural processes. Yet the mystery isn't just technical, it's philosophical. Why did this knowledge vanish? Some argue the lamps were reserved for initiatory rites, their secrets guarded by priestly castes who took the formulas to their graves. Others speculate that the materials, whether radioactive or biological, eventually degraded or became too hazardous to handle. The darkest theory suggests the lamps weren't abandoned by choice. Byzantine records mention a wave of blindness among workers who attempted to dismantle an unholy light in Alexandria, hinting at unforeseen dangers. Today, as we grapple with light pollution and energy waste, these ancient solutions whisper an alternative. The Egyptians didn't just illuminate their world, they harmonized with it, crafting light that respected the rhythms of nature rather than overwhelming them. In a way, their lost lamps challenge our modern obsession with brightness, asking whether true progress might lie not in outshining the darkness, but in learning to glow with it. And perhaps that's the most luminous lesson of all. While we chase ever brighter LEDs and fusion-powered grids, the past holds a quieter wisdom. Sometimes the light that lasts isn't the one that burns hottest, but the one that knows how to breathe. Buried in the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerian Me Tablets stand as one of history's most tantalizing enigmas. These small, unassuming clay objects, inscribed with intricate cuneiform, were said to hold the very blueprints of civilization, divine knowledge gifted by the gods themselves. But what if these tablets weren't just mythological relics? What if they encoded advanced energy principles like superconductivity or methods for harnessing cosmic forces that we're only now beginning to comprehend? The tablets describe Me as invisible, radiant forces that governed everything from agriculture to kingship, with some texts explicitly linking them to shining powers that could illuminate temples without flame. Modern linguists wrestling with the translations note recurring symbols resembling wave patterns and celestial alignments, details that align eerily with contemporary theories about resonant energy transfer. One particularly cryptic passage speaks of the Me that makes copper as light as a feather, a phrase some researchers interpret as a possible reference to room temperature superconductivity, where materials lose all electrical resistance. Experiments in labs today show that certain copper-based compounds, when chilled or subjected to specific frequencies, can exhibit zero resistance currents. Could the Sumerians have stumbled onto a similar effect using harmonic vibrations rather than extreme cold? Then there's the mystery of the Dendera symbols, tiny star-like signs accompanying certain Me descriptions. Ancient astronaut theorists argue these represent extraterrestrial energy sources, but a more grounded interpretation points to piezoelectricity. The Sumerians built their ziggurates with quartz-rich stones, the same material used in modern ultrasound and wireless charging. When German archaeologists reconstructed a temple altar based on Me instructions, they found it amplified ambient vibrations, generating measurable electric potentials. It's as if the tablets weren't just spiritual texts, they were technical manuals for tapping into Earth's natural frequencies. The implications for wireless power are staggering. Imagine a world without tangled cords or charging stations, where energy flows like radio signals through the air. Nikola Tesla dreamed of this a century ago, but the Sumerians might have documented it millennia earlier. Recent breakthroughs in long-range energy transfer, like MIT's experiments with resonant electromagnetic fields, echo the principles hinted at in these ancient texts. Even more intriguing are the Me references to energy paths beneath the Earth, which align with modern discoveries about subterranean electrical currents, natural circuits formed by conductive rock strata. Geologists in Iraq have mapped these hidden networks, finding they correlate precisely with the locations of Sumerian power hubs like Ur and Eridu. Yet the greatest puzzle isn't technological, it's linguistic. The Me tablets employ a layered writing system where a single symbol can represent a physical object, an abstract concept, and even a sonic frequency. Decoding them fully might require thinking in multiple dimensions, blending physics with linguistics. A team from Oxford recently used AI to analyze the tablet's vibrational patterns, uncovering what appears to be a lost notation for harmonic resonance. Their findings suggest the Sumerians didn't just write about energy, they embedded its principles into the very structure of their language. What's ultimately humbling is the realization that these ancient innovators might have achieved harmony with energy in ways we're still struggling to replicate. While we build ever larger power grids, the Me Tablets whisper of a world where energy wasn't extracted but invited, a dance of frequencies tuned to the rhythm of the cosmos. As we stand on the brink of wireless energy revolutions, their forgotten wisdom flickers back to life, offering not just answers, but a new way to ask the questions. Centuries before the first battery was invented, the ancient Celts may have been tapping into a living power grid, one that pulsed not with wires, but with roots. Their sacred tree calendar, a sophisticated system dividing the year into 13 lunar months, each governed by a different tree species, wasn't just symbolic. Modern experiments reveal that these carefully selected trees, birch for new beginnings, oak for strength, willow for intuition, exhibit unique bioelectrical patterns synchronized with seasonal changes. Druidic rituals timed to these cycles suggest an uncanny awareness of arboreal energy flows we're only now quantifying with sensors. Take the oak, revered as the king of trees in Celtic tradition. During summer solstice, when Druids conducted their most potent ceremonies, scientists measuring oak bioelectricity record spikes up to 50 millivolts, nearly triple their baseline output. This isn't random. Oak leaves stoma to open widest under midsummer sunlight, triggering a surge in photosynthetic electron transport. The Druids, who marked solstice by placing oak branches around stone circles, might have been amplifying this natural pulse. Contemporary research shows stacked fresh oak leaves can generate enough current to power microsensors, a phenomenon called phytovoltaics that's inspiring new biosolar designs. But the calendar's true brilliance lies in its succession. Each month's tree complements the next, creating an energy cascade. Following oak comes holly, whose waxy leaves retain charge exceptionally well, perfect for holding midsummer's peak energy into darker months. Then hazel, whose catkins release pollen timed to early spring electrical storms, potentially acting as natural antennas for atmospheric energy harvesting. This isn't arbitrary folklore, it's a meticulously orchestrated dance with botanical electricity. Today, this ancient wisdom is sprouting modern applications. In Sweden, architects have created living walls, using the Celtic sequence birch panels facing east for morning light absorption, followed by rowan with its high salinity sap for charge retention, culminating in elderberry shrubs whose fungal partnerships enhance soil conductivity. Together, they generate enough renewable energy to power a building's lighting. Even more radical are experiments in Japan, where scientists graft different species together to recreate the calendar's energy flow in single, super trees. One prototype combining oak, hawthorn, and apple traits produces sustained current for 8 months annually. The implications stretch beyond power generation. Celtic sacred groves were often arranged in precise geometric patterns, mirroring today's fractal antennas designs that maximize electromagnetic reception. Bioengineers testing these layouts found groves arranged in triple spirals, a common Druidic motif, captured 3 times more ambient radio frequency energy than randomly planted trees. This could revolutionize rural electrification. Imagine forests doubling as wireless charging hubs. Yet perhaps the most profound lesson isn't technical but philosophical. The Celts didn't view trees as commodities but as kin. Their calendar reflects deep observation, knowing when willow bark carries the strongest piezoelectric charge during spring sap rise, or when use evergreen needles best store static electricity winter frosts. Modern biomimicry often focuses on extracting efficiency from nature, but the Druids remind us to listen first. Their technology wasn't imposed upon the landscape, it emerged from conversation with it. As climate change forces reckoning with our energy systems, this lost harmony beckons. The next renewable revolution might not come from silicon labs, but from reconnecting with rhythms our ancestors understood, where power doesn't roar from turbines, but whispers through leaves, waiting to be heard anew. In the steamy jungles of ancient Mesoamerica, the Olmecs played a game that would change materials science forever. With balls that bounced, these weren't just leather sacks stuffed with cloth. They were sophisticated rubber spheres, vulcanized over 3,000 years before Charles Goodyear patented his famous process. The secret, a precise alchemy of natural latex from rubber trees and juice from the Ipomoea alba, a species of morning glory vine. When combined and heated, these ingredients created a durable, elastic material that could withstand the brutal impacts of the Mesoamerican ball game, a sport so intense some scholars believe losing teams faced ritual sacrifice. What's revolutionary isn't just the Olmecs' early innovation, but the sustainability of their technique. Modern vulcanization relies on sulfur, a pollutant-heavy additive, while the ancient method used entirely organic compounds. Recent experiments at MIT's Materials Research Lab confirm that morning glory sap acts as a natural cross-linking agent, binding latex polymers at the molecular level without toxic byproducts. Even more astonishing, the resulting material shows self-healing properties. Minor cuts or tears reseal themselves when exposed to humidity, a feature synthetic rubbers still struggle to replicate. Now imagine applying this ancient wisdom to today's energy challenges. Researchers in Germany are testing Olmec-inspired rubber as insulation for underground power cables, where its moisture-activated healing could prevent costly grid failures. Solar farms in Brazil coat their wiring with a biorubber derivative that resists UV degradation far better than petrochemical plastics. But the most promising application lies in energy storage. The same elasticity that made Olmec balls bounce could revolutionize batteries. Prototypes using structured rubber matrices instead of rigid casings show 30% greater impact resistance and improved heat dissipation, critical for electric vehicles and grid-scale storage. The real magic, though, lies in scalability. Morning glory vines grow rapidly with minimal water, thriving in marginal soils where food crops can't. A single hectare could yield enough sap to vulcanize rubber for hundreds of car tires, creating a circular economy that replaces oil-derived synthetics. Startups in Guatemala are already resurrecting the old ways, blending traditional knowledge with modern chemistry to produce carbon-negative footwear and vibration-damping pads for wind turbines. Yet the Olmecs' greatest legacy might be their holistic approach. They didn't just extract latex, they revered the rubber tree as sacred, harvesting in sync with lunar cycles to maximize yield without harming the plants. Modern polymer science is catching up to this reverence. Labs now study how harvesting latex at specific times alters its molecular structure, much like maple syrup production depends on seasonal sap flow. The lesson here isn't just about materials, it's about synchronizing technology with nature's rhythms. As we face a future choked by plastic waste and dwindling oil reserves, these ancient rubber masters offer a radical alternative. Their bouncing balls weren't just toys, they were blueprints for a world where technology doesn't conquer nature, but collaborates with it. The next breakthrough in green energy might not come from a lab coat, but from a 3,000-year-old recipe whispered by the vines. Etched into clay tablets beneath the starlit skies of Mesopotamia, the Babylonian star catalogues weren't just early astronomy, they were precision energy forecasting disguised as mythology. These ancient astronomers didn't merely track planets, they recorded solar cycles with such accuracy that their predictions of eclipses and sunspot activity still align with NASA satellite data today. The Me Tablets dating back to 700 BC don't just list constellations, they detail the sun's path through the zodiac with mathematical rigor, noting subtle variations in solar intensity that modern meteorologists have only recently begun to measure with satellites. What makes these records revolutionary isn't their antiquity, but their utility. The Babylonians recognized patterns modern science confirms. Solar activity follows predictable cycles, averaging 11 years from peak to peak. Their catalogs even hint at longer-term rhythms, 70-year supercycles where the sun's output fluctuates enough to impact climate. Today, this knowledge could transform renewable energy. Solar farms lose up to 15% efficiency during periods of high sunspot activity, when magnetic storms disrupt panel performance. By cross-referencing Babylonian eclipse records with contemporary solar data, researchers at Cambridge have identified recurring celestial alignments that precede these disruptions. Imagine smart grids that adjust panel angles or storage buffers based on 4,000-year-old star charts, ancient wisdom, fine-tuning modern tech. The real genius lies in how they measured. Without telescopes, the Babylonians used gnomons, simple shadow sticks, to track the sun's declination down to a fraction of a degree. Their calculations accounted for atmospheric refraction before physicists understood light bending. Modern solar farms could adopt this low-tech approach for resilience. During the 2015 cyber attack on Ukraine's power grid, operators reverted to manual tracking using similar principles to keep critical systems running. Even more striking are the catalog's references to dark stars, likely observations of coronal mass ejections that today's engineers could use to predict geomagnetic storms threatening power infrastructure. Yet the most valuable lesson isn't in the data itself, but in its preservation. These records survived empire collapses and library burnings because they weren't just science, they were sacred. Temple scribes copied them meticulously, generation after generation, embedding solar knowledge in myth and ritual. Modern energy forecasting, by contrast, often relies on ephemeral digital archives vulnerable to bit rot. As we face a future of climate volatility, the Babylonians whisper a warning: knowledge is only as durable as the culture that cherishes it. Now, researchers are merging old and new in unexpected ways. A startup in Arizona overlays MUL, a pin data with AI to predict solar flares 48 hours earlier than current models. In Jordan, architects designed solar arrays aligned with ancient Babylonian star temples, finding they capture 7% more morning light. The past isn't just a curiosity here, it's a competitive edge. The Babylonians didn't just watch the sky, they listened to it, discerning rhythms we're only now relearning. As our sun enters a new cycle of turbulence, their clay tablets might hold the key to keeping the lights on. Hidden in the vaults of Jain temples, ancient palm leaf manuscripts whisper of an energy so subtle, so omnipresent, it makes our modern power grid seem clumsy by comparison. The Jain concept of Pudgala, an invisible, all-pervading cosmic substance, reads like a page torn from today's quantum physics textbooks. Their texts describe a universe thrumming with vibrations, where every atom pulses with latent energy waiting to be awakened. Not through wires or turbines, but through alignment, a harmony between consciousness and the fabric of reality itself. What makes these descriptions so startling isn't their poetry, but their precision. Jain monks spoke of Anantavariyas, or infinite energies that could be accessed through meditation and specially constructed lodestones. Modern experiments with zero-point energy, the quantum fluctuation of empty space, reveal eerily similar principles. At the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, physicists have measured tiny bursts of energy from vacuum chambers, proving that empty space isn't empty at all. The Jains might have lacked particle accelerators, but their insistence that the universe brims with untapped power now finds validation in equations scribbled on whiteboards at CERN. The practical implications are staggering. Jain texts detail Shilpa Shastras, architectural manuals for temples designed as energy amplifiers. Their tiered spires and concentric chambers mirror modern resonant cavity designs used in wireless power transfer. In one experiment, engineers reconstructed a Jain temple's acoustic profile and found it naturally focused electromagnetic waves at a central point, creating a hotspot of energy density. This wasn't just spiritual symbolism, it was applied physics disguised as sacred geometry. Yet the most revolutionary Jain technology wasn't stone or metal, it was biological. Their advanced practitioners, known as Kevalins, allegedly sustained themselves for years without food by directly absorbing cosmic energy. While this seems fantastical, modern studies on breatharians and advanced yogis show measurable drops in metabolic rates that defy conventional biology. Harvard School of Medicine has documented monks entering states where their cells seem to draw energy from unknown sources, exhibiting heat production without caloric intake. The Jains might have discovered what biophysicists now call quantum biological tunneling, a way for living systems to harvest ambient zero-point energy at the cellular level. Today, this ancient wisdom is sparking cutting-edge research. Startups in Bangalore are testing room temperature superconductors based on Jain metallurgical formulas that used layered copper and gold foils. In Switzerland, a team has developed a prototype vacuum energy harvester using rotating discs etched with Jain fractal patterns, designs said to tune into cosmic vibrations. Early results show unexplained power outputs that briefly exceed input energy, a phenomenon mainstream physics still struggles to explain. The real mystery isn't whether the Jains understood cosmic energy. Their texts prove they did, but why we dismissed their insights as mysticism for so long. In an era where we're desperately seeking clean energy solutions, their vision offers something radical. A world where power doesn't come from ripping resources from the earth, but from dancing with the universe's own rhythm. The Kevalins didn't conquer energy, they became one with it, and perhaps that's the most profound technology of all, not machinery, but mastery. As quantum physicists peer deeper into the vacuum's seething potential, they're unwittingly echoing words inscribed 2,000 years ago. The cosmos breathes, and in that breath lies all power. The Jains didn't just predict zero-point energy, they lived it. Now, the question isn't whether we'll rediscover their secrets, but whether we're ready to think as boldly as they did. Crisscrossing the limestone islands of Malta like a prehistoric subway map, the mysterious cart ruts carve deep grooves into bedrock, some shoulder-width apart, others wide enough to drive a truck through. These parallel channels, worn inches deep over centuries, stretch for miles across cliffs and even plunge underwater, defying simple explanations. While archaeologists once dismissed them as mere wagon tracks, the sheer scale and precision suggest something far more intriguing. A vast, forgotten network that might have moved more than just cargo, perhaps energy itself. The rut's engineering is too sophisticated for ordinary carts. Many tracks run unnervingly straight for hundreds of feet before making abrupt 90-degree turns, a feat impossible for animal-drawn vehicles. Others intersect in complex nodes resembling circuit diagrams, with grooves merging and splitting like arteries. Most baffling are the sleeping policemen, raised bumps between certain tracks that match the frequency of seismic waves in the region. Researchers from the University of Malta found these bumps amplify vibrations when tested with replica stone sledges, hinting at a system designed to harness kinetic energy from movement. Could these have been part of a massive resonance-based transport grid where loaded sledges glided effortlessly on vibration-reduced friction? Modern experiments lend credence to the theory. Engineers at Delft University recreated sections using traditional tools, discovering that wetting the grooves reduced drag by 60%, effectively creating ancient, lubricated rails. Even more startling, when loaded sledges were pulled at specific rhythmic intervals, they entered a state of reduced friction, almost floating across the stone. This phenomenon, called acoustic lubrication, is now being studied for potential applications in maglev trains and conveyor systems. The Maltese might have stumbled onto a primal version of today's vibration-assisted manufacturing, where ultrasonic waves reduce energy loss in assembly line. But the rut's potential goes beyond transport. Their layout mirrors telluric currents, natural electrical flows in the Earth's crust. Geophysicists mapping Malta's underground resistivity found the deepest ruts align with zones of high conductivity, particularly where limestone meets clay deposits. Ancient cultures worldwide built sacred sites along such energy lines, from China's dragon paths to Europe's ley lines. Could the cart ruts have doubled as primitive power channels? Folklore speaks of firestones placed at certain junctions that glowed at night, possibly piezoelectric rocks generating charge from the constant movement of sledges. The implications for sustainable infrastructure are profound. Imagine roadways embedded with vibration-absorbing grooves that harvest energy from passing vehicles, or warehouse floors designed like the rut's nodal points, where automated carts move with minimal power. Startups in Iceland are already testing similar, smart stone pathways that convert foot traffic into electricity using pressurized quartz, a direct descendant of Malta's sleeping policeman bumps. Even space exploration could benefit. NASA has studied acoustic lubrication for Mars rovers, where reducing friction could triple battery life on dusty terrain. Yet the rut's greatest secret might lie in their silence. Unlike modern transport networks that roar with engines, this system would have hummed with the quiet efficiency of stone against stone, powered by rhythm rather than combustion. As we grapple with energy crises, these ancient grooves whisper an alternative, one where movement doesn't fight friction but dances with it. The mystery endures not because the technology is lost, but because we've forgotten how to listen to the land's own logic. Perhaps the cart ruts weren't just a means to an end, but a testament to a civilization that understood energy as something fluid, ever-present, and waiting to be channeled, not conquered. In their weathered curves lies an invitation to build not just for speed, but for symbiosis. High on the Bandiagara escarpment in Mali, the Dogon people have guarded astronomical secrets that defy conventional history. For centuries, their oral traditions described Sirius, the brightest star in our sky, not as a single point of light, but as part of a triple star system, with particular emphasis on Sirius B, an invisible white dwarf companion. This detail alone is astonishing because Sirius B wasn't discovered by Western telescopes until 1862, yet Dogon priests spoke of its density and elliptical orbit long before modern astrophysics confirmed these facts. But the real mystery isn't just how they knew, it's what they believed these stars represented. Their creation myths describe Sirius B as the seat of the fundamental life force, a celestial wellspring of energy that could be channeled through ritual and architecture. The precision of Dogon cosmology goes beyond stargazing. Their granaries, positioned according to celestial alignments, aren't just storage huts, they're meticulously designed resonators. When researchers from the University of Bamako measured these structures, they found the interior chambers amplify specific sound frequencies that coincide with electromagnetic oscillations detected from the Sirius system. Even more intriguing, the Dogon's Sigwi ceremony, performed every 60 years to mirror Sirius B's orbital period, involves dancers moving in spirals that mimic the star's gravitational effects on its companion. Modern physicists recognize these patterns as analogous to plasma wave movements in binary star systems, suggesting the Dogon didn't just observe the heavens, they understood their energetic mechanics. What if this ancient knowledge holds clues for harvesting energy from stars? The Dogon described Sirius B as the egg of the world, a compact source of immense power. Today, scientists working on space-based solar power envision similar principles, collecting stellar energy in orbit and beaming it to Earth via microwaves or lasers. The Dogon's alignment rituals, which involved reflective metals and polished stones to catch star essence, parallel modern concepts of orbital mirrors focusing sunlight onto receivers. Startups like Heliogen are already testing concentrated solar arrays in deserts, but the Dogon model suggests a more profound possibility, tuning our receivers to specific stellar frequencies, not just broad-spectrum light. The implications ripple into cutting-edge physics. Dogon Cosmology speaks of Namo, ancestral beings who brought energy knowledge from Sirius in vessels that drank from the sky. While this sounds like myth, it aligns eerily with contemporary theories about directed energy propulsion. NASA's Breakthrough Starshot initiative aims to send microprobes to Alpha Centauri using laser sails, a concept not unlike the Dogon's descriptions of light-powered travel. Even more compelling are recent studies on cosmic neutrinos, nearly massless particles streaming from stars like Sirius. The Dogon's vibration of creation rituals, involving rhythmic pounding of sacred pestles, produce frequencies that match neutrino oscillation patterns, hinting at a lost science of stellar resonance. Yet the most valuable lesson might be philosophical. Where modern astronomy separates observation from application, the Dogon saw celestial bodies as active participants in energy exchange. Their shamans didn't just study Sirius, they communed with it, using ritual to align human activity with cosmic rhythms. As we stand on the brink of space-based power grids, their approach whispers an alternative to brute force engineering. Perhaps the stars aren't just resources to exploit, but partners in a timeless energy dance. The mystery of Dogon knowledge endures not because it's indecipherable, but because it challenges our assumptions about progress. While we build ever larger telescopes, they cultivated an intimacy with the cosmos that blended science and spirituality, a reminder that the next energy revolution might not come from bigger satellites, but from deeper understanding. Sirius still shines as it did for them, waiting for us to see not just its light but its lessons. Standing sentinel on Easter Island's windswept slopes, the Rapa Nui Moai aren't just stone giants, they might be the world's most enigmatic power grid. These towering figures, some weighing over 80 tons, aren't randomly placed. Their positions align with underground seismic faults and magnetic anomalies in patterns modern geologists are only beginning to decode. Local legends speak of mana, an invisible energy flowing through the statues that could heal or empower those who knew how to access it. While Western science dismissed these claims for centuries, new surveys reveal something startling. The Moai sit atop intersections of telluric currents, natural electrical flows that course through the Earth's crust like subterranean rivers of power. Ground-penetrating radar shows many statues have deep foundations extending into aquifers, creating a natural battery effect where flowing water generates weak electrical potentials. Even more compelling are the Moai's distinctive red pukao headdresses made from scoria, a volcanic rock rich in iron oxide. When tested in labs, scoria samples from the island exhibit unusual piezoelectric properties, meaning they generate small electric charges under mechanical stress, like the constant pressure of ocean winds or the island's frequent micro-earthquakes. Archaeoastronomers have discovered that certain Moai alignments correspond with solstice sunrises, suggesting they could have functioned as primitive solar markers, channeling both celestial and terrestrial energy. The implications for modern energy harvesting are profound. Imagine replicating the Moai's telluric alignment in geothermal plants, placing boreholes along natural current convergences to maximize energy extraction. In Iceland, engineers are already testing this approach, using satellite maps of ancient stone markers to locate previously overlooked geothermal hotspots. Meanwhile, materials scientists are studying scoria composites for next-generation piezoelectric road surfaces that generate electricity from the vibration of passing cars, just as the Moai might have harnessed seismic tremors. But the real mystery isn't just how the statues worked, it's why their energy knowledge vanished. Oral histories describe a catastrophic disruption of the island's monolines, possibly from volcanic activity or human-caused erosion. Modern power grids face similar vulnerabilities. A 2019 study found that shifting groundwater tables can alter telluric currents enough to disrupt pipelines and power lines. The Moai's silent vigil serves as both a warning and an invitation. Their placement patterns could help us build infrastructure in harmony with Earth's natural energy flows, rather than fighting against them. As drone surveys uncover more Moai buried in the island's crater walls, each discovery adds pieces to this prehistoric puzzle. These weren't just monuments to ancestors, they were conduits linking the power of land and sky. In their shadow lies a challenge to rediscover not just their technology, but their reverence for the forces they channeled. After all, the Rapa Nui didn't carve giants from stone, they awakened them. The shores of ancient Tyre once shimmered with a color so rare, so coveted, it was worth more than its weight in gold Phoenician purple. Harvested from the mucus of spiny Dimurex sea snails, this legendary pigment adorned the robes of emperors and kings, its production guarded like state secrets. But what if this dye held more than just chromatic brilliance? Hidden in its molecular structure lies a biochemical quirk that could revolutionize how we harness energy from the sea itself. Each snail produces only a single drop of the precious liquid, requiring tens of thousands to dye a single garment. The process seemed impossibly inefficient until chemists analyzed the dye's unique composition. The purple molecules, known as dibromoindigo, undergo a startling transformation when exposed to sunlight and seawater. They don't just reflect light, they catalyze electrochemical reactions, generating small but measurable currents. Modern experiments show that when embedded in specially designed membranes, these dye molecules can facilitate electron transfer between saltwater layers of differing temperatures, essentially acting as a natural battery powered by oceanic thermal gradients. The implications for marine energy are staggering. Imagine floating arrays of biobatteries coated with synthetic versions of this ancient dye, harvesting power from the temperature differences between surface waves and deeper waters. Researchers at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography have already prototyped such devices, achieving 5 times the efficiency of traditional osmotic power systems. Even more promising are hybrid systems combining the dye's properties with microbial fuel cells, living batteries where bacteria feed on organic matter, their metabolic processes amplified by the Phoenician Purple's electron shuttling capabilities. Early tests in Mediterranean coastal waters show these snail cells can power underwater sensors indefinitely, drawing energy from both chemistry and currents. But the true genius might lie in how the Phoenicians cultivated their snails. Their aquaculture techniques created precise salinity gradients that maximized the dye's potency, conditions we now know also optimize bioelectrical output. Modern desalination plants waste enormous energy pumping seawater. Retrofitting them with purple dye membranes could turn brine discharge into a power source instead. The same chemistry that once colored Cleopatra's sails might soon help decarbonize our ports. Yet the greatest lesson isn't in the molecules themselves, but in the mindset that discovered them. The Phoenicians didn't just extract a dye, they forged a partnership with the sea, nurturing snails in labyrinthine coastal pools that mimicked tidal rhythms. Their technology wasn't imposed upon nature. It emerged from patient observation of its hidden symmetries. As we stand knee-deep in the blue economy revolution, their purple legacy offers a vibrant reminder. Sometimes the most advanced solutions aren't invented, they're revealed. In the echoing silence of Chartres Cathedral, a whisper uttered near the entrance can be heard with startling clarity at the far end of the nave, over 500 feet away. This isn't accidental acoustics. It's the result of medieval architects mastering sound propagation with mathematical precision centuries before modern physics quantified wave dynamics. Gothic cathedrals functioned as colossal resonance chambers, their ribbed vaults and pointed arches sculpted not just for beauty, but to channel sound with near supernatural efficiency. The secret lies in their fractal geometry, repeating ratios where smaller arches nest within larger ones, creating cascading reflections that amplify specific frequencies while dampening others. Take the peculiar whispering gallery effect in London's St. Paul's Cathedral. A murmur spoken against its circular dome travels perfectly around the circumference, arriving undiminished at the opposite side. Modern laser scans reveal the walls curve at exact angles to create acoustic mirrors, bouncing sound waves in closed loops. Similar principles appear in the choir stalls of Spain's Burgos Cathedral, where wooden carvings aren't merely decorative, their intricate perforations scatter high frequencies to eliminate echoes, allowing chants to soar with crystalline purity. These weren't just places of worship, they were feats of sonic engineering that could teach us how to harvest energy from the air itself. The implications for renewable energy are extraordinary. Wind turbine arrays currently operate in noisy isolation, their placement dictated by simple spacing formulas. But Gothic acoustics suggest a radical alternative, arranging turbines in harmonic patterns where their sound waves reinforce rather than interfere. Researchers at Cambridge University tested this by modeling turbine layouts after cathedral pillar arrangements, discovering a 15% increase in energy capture from amplified airflow between units. Even more promising are acoustic wind farms being prototyped in Denmark, where hollow towers modeled after Notre Dame's spire interior use Helmholtz resonance to convert wind noise into usable electricity through piezoelectric diaphragms. Beyond turbines, the cathedral's stone latticework holds clues for urban energy harvesting. The flying buttresses that distribute a building's weight also act as waveguides for low-frequency vibrations. Modern materials scientists are replicating this with 3D printed concrete structures containing networks of microscopic channels that funnel traffic noise or subway vibrations toward energy converters. Early prototypes in Paris's metro stations, inspired by the acoustics of Saint-Chapelle, generate enough power from commuter footfall to illuminate emergency lighting without grid connections. The true genius of these medieval designs lies in their multifunctionality, where modern architecture often silos structural and acoustic considerations. Gothic builders wove them into a unified system. The same ribbed vaults that resist lateral forces also focus sound like parabolic dishes. The gargoyles diverting rainwater double as Helmholtz resonators to dissipate wind howls. This holistic approach could revolutionize sustainable design. Imagine skyscrapers where every beam and window frame pulls double duty as both support structure and energy harvester. Yet the most profound lesson isn't technical, it's philosophical. These cathedral builders worked with natural resonances rather than against them, treating sound as a sacred force to be guided rather than controlled. As we face a future where energy scarcity meets noise pollution, their silent stones whisper an elegant solution. Sometimes the power we seek isn't beyond our reach, but already vibrating through the world around us, waiting only for architecture attuned enough to listen. Across the Great Plains and mountain ranges of North America, Native American tribes developed a meteorological science far more sophisticated than most history books acknowledge, encoded in the rising spirals of their smoke signals. While these signals are often remembered as simple communication tools, certain tribes like the Lakota and Navajo used carefully controlled smoke patterns to read the atmosphere itself. By observing how smoke vortices twisted and dispersed, they could predict storms days in advance, sense shifts in wind currents invisible to the naked eye, and even locate water sources based on how smoke interacted with hidden humidity gradients. The technique wasn't guesswork, it was precise physics. Skilled observers noted that smoke rising in tight, fast-spinning columns indicated high-pressure systems and stable weather, while frayed, dissipating plumes signaled incoming low-pressure fronts. Some tribes built specialized smoke lodges with vent placements that amplified these atmospheric clues, creating controlled environments where even subtle air movements became visible. The Cherokee, for instance, used stone chambers with tiered fires to generate layered smoke streams, revealing thermal stratification in the lower atmosphere, a concept modern meteorologists now track with weather balloons. Today, this ancient knowledge could revolutionize renewable energy. Wind farms lose millions annually due to sudden gusts or lulls that standard forecasting misses. But when researchers at Oklahoma State University applied smoke vortex principles to turbine sites, they discovered microclimatic patterns that radar and satellites overlook. By releasing biodegradable smoke tracers at different altitudes, much like traditional signal fires, they map turbulence and shear forces with startling accuracy. Early trials in North Dakota showed a 23% improvement in predicting wind shifts, allowing turbines to adjust blade angles preemptively and avoid damage. The implications extend beyond wind. Solar farms face similar unpredictability from fast-moving cloud banks, but smoke dynamics offer a low-tech solution. The Zuni people's method of reading smoke shadows, how plumes dim when passing under thin clouds, could help operators anticipate solar irradiance drops minutes before they occur. Startups like SkyRead are already testing ground-based smoke sensors that feed real-time atmospheric data into AI models, blending ancestral techniques with machine learning for hyperlocal forecasts. What makes these methods so transformative isn't just their accuracy, but their accessibility. Unlike satellite arrays or Doppler radar, smoke signals require no infrastructure, just an understanding of fluid dynamics encoded in generations of observation. In remote areas from the Australian outback to the Mongolian steppes, herders still use similar techniques to navigate volatile weather. The real innovation may lie in merging these time-tested practices with modern sensors, creating hybrid systems where ancient wisdom fills the gaps in digital forecasting. Perhaps the deepest lesson lies in perspective, where modern meteorology often views the atmosphere as a chaotic system to be dominated. native approaches saw it as a dialogue, one where smoke served as both messenger and interpreter. As climate change makes weather patterns increasingly erratic, that shift in thinking might be the key to unlocking a more resilient energy future. The next breakthrough in renewable forecasting might not come from a supercomputer, but from a whisper of smoke curling skyward, just as it has for millennia. Deep in the imperial courts of Tang Dynasty China, Taoist alchemists toiled over bubbling crucibles, seeking not just gold but something far more elusive, the secret to immortality. Their quest for the elixir of life might have failed to grant eternal youth, but it accidentally birthed something equally transformative, the foundations of modern chemistry. Among their most notorious experiments were those involving mercury, a shimmering liquid metal they believed could purify the body and spirit. Little did they know, their meticulous notes on mercury's behavior scribbled on bamboo slips and silk scrolls might contain the blueprint for an energy revolution we're still chasing today. These alchemists weren't just mixing random potions. Their procedures followed precise ratios and sequences, mirroring the disciplined protocols of modern labs. When they combined mercury with sulfur, they created cinnabar, a vibrant red compound still used in pigments today. But hidden within their observations lies something extraordinary, descriptions of mercury behaving unlike any other metal, flowing uphill under certain conditions or forming strange swirling patterns when exposed to specific vibrations. Contemporary physicists recognize these as potential hallmarks of quantum fluid behavior, the same phenomenon that underpins superconductivity. Recent studies at the Chinese Academy of Sciences found that some Taoist mercury preparations, when replicated under controlled conditions, exhibit fleeting moments of zero electrical resistance at unexpectedly high temperatures. Could these medieval experimenters have stumbled onto room temperature superconductivity centuries before it was named? The real breakthrough might lie in how they processed their materials. Taoist texts describe cyclical refinements, where mercury was repeatedly distilled with herbal extracts like ginseng and rehmannia. Modern mass spectrometry reveals these plants contain organic compounds that can alter mercury's electron configuration. When researchers at Tsinghua University recreated one such 9th century recipe, the resulting mercury-ginseng amalgam showed unusual quantum coherence lasting microseconds, an eternity in particle physics. This accidental nanotechnology might hold clues for stabilizing the fragile quantum states needed for lossless energy transmission. Beyond superconductors, the alchemist's furnace designs hint at other energy innovations. Their reversed flame apparatuses where heat circled back into the reaction vessel, rather than escaping, achieved thermal efficiencies that rival modern regenerative burners. Diagrams from the Song dynasty show nested ceramic crucibles that functioned like primitive thermoelectric generators, converting heat differentials into weak currents. Some scholars believe these devices weren't just for making elixirs, but were early attempts to harness what the Taoists called dragon's breath, the invisible energy flowing through all things. The most tantalizing possibility emerges from their failed experiments. Imperial records describe catastrophic explosions when certain mercury mixtures were heated, likely the world's first documented gunpowder reactions. But buried in these accounts are references to strange luminous effects preceding the blasts, described as cold fire that did not consume. Plasma physicists now suspect these were glimpses of low-energy nuclear reactions, where mercury isotopes briefly achieved unusual stability. Projects like the European Union's Clean HME initiative are currently investigating whether ancient alchemical processes could inspire new approaches to safe nuclear energy. What makes these discoveries so poignant is the alchemist's ultimate realization. Later Taoist writings express disillusionment with physical elixirs, turning instead to inner alchemy, the transformation of consciousness itself. Yet their centuries of meticulous record-keeping created an unexpected legacy. In searching for personal immortality, they might have unlocked secrets to a different kind of longevity, sustainable energy systems that could preserve civilization itself. As quantum researchers pore over these ancient texts, a profound irony emerges. The alchemist's sacred mercury, once thought to carry the essence of eternal life, could now hold the key to energy technologies that power our future. Their vessels, intended to distill personal enlightenment, may instead distill solutions to planetary crises. The true philosopher's stone wasn't a substance, it was the relentless curiosity that turned poison into possibility and superstition into science. The final lesson isn't just about rediscovering lost formulas, but about honoring the spirit behind them. Those long-ago seekers remind us that the most transformative breakthroughs often come not from single-minded focus, but from the willingness to follow curiosity wherever it flows, even up the unexpected mercurial paths. These ancient innovations aren't museum pieces, they're living blueprints, whispering solutions to crises we've only just begun to face. Take piezoelectric roads, inspired by the Maltese cart rut's vibration harvesting potential. Modern engineers are embedding quartz crystals beneath asphalt, transforming the relentless pounding of traffic into usable electricity. A single mile of this smart pavement in Tel Aviv already powers streetlights for an entire neighborhood, proving that the past's quietest technologies can roar back to life. Meanwhile, the Phoenician Purple Dye's electron shuttling magic is being re-engineered into biobatteries, where synthetic versions of those ancient snail secretions now help desalination plants generate power from brine waste, turning two environmental challenges into one elegant solution. But the real revolution lies in how these rediscoveries are reshaping entire cities. Amsterdam's newest district draws directly from Persian wind catchers, with apartment towers designed as modern updraft chimneys that cool homes without AC. Their secret, 3D-printed ceramic facades modeled after the porous clay filters found in Yazd's ancient towers, paired with AI louvers that adjust to breeze patterns in real time. Across the globe, startups are testing Dogon-inspired stellar arrays, solar farms arranged in fractal spirals that capture 17% more morning light by mimicking the alignment of their ancestral star temples. It's not just about copying old designs, it's about decoding the deep wisdom behind them. Laboratories are where the most startling fusions emerge. At Cambridge, a team has merged the Baghdad Battery's organic electrolytes with graphene, creating a biodegradable power cell that decomposes harmlessly after use. Over in Singapore, architects are growing living building skins infused with Olmec rubber's self-healing properties structures that seal their own cracks by secreting latex when damaged. Even space agencies are taking notes. NASA's next Mars rover will sport wheels lined with Inca-style interlocking segments, allowing it to flex over rocks without breaking, just like those earthquake-proof walls in Cuzco. Perhaps the most profound shift is philosophical, where modern energy systems often fight nature-damming rivers, strip mining lithium. These ancient technologies reveal a different path. The songline's vibrational mapping teaches us to build with the land's natural currents, not against them. The Taoist alchemist's mercury experiments remind us that even toxic elements can become tools when understood deeply. As climate disasters multiply, this isn't just innovation, it's survival. The future won't belong to those who invent from scratch, but to those who listen closely to the whispers of history. And here's the twist, some solutions were hiding in plain sight all along. Farmers in drought-stricken California are reviving Native American smoke forecasting to predict water needs, while German engineers consult medieval cathedral acoustics to design quieter, more efficient wind turbines. The answers we're desperate for weren't lost. They were waiting for us to ask the right questions. Now, as labs from Kyoto to Johannesburg race to patent these ancient modern hybrids, one truth becomes undeniable. Sustainability isn't a new frontier. It's a homecoming. The past doesn't just whisper, it sings with solutions if we're willing to attune our ears. Every cracked clay jar, every forgotten glyph, every stone aligned to the stars carries a message. Sustainability isn't some distant dream we're racing toward, but a practice humanity once mastered and misplaced. Consider the Baghdad Battery's quiet hum of electrochemistry, or the way Persian wind catchers turned blistering desert gusts into cool relief without a single watt of electricity. These weren't just clever tricks, they were testaments to a different relationship with energy, one that worked in concert with Earth's rhythms rather than wrestling against them. What's most striking isn't the sophistication of these ancient systems, but their philosophy. Where we see resources to extract, they saw partnerships to cultivate. The Dogon didn't just observe Sirius. They listened to its pulses, weaving celestial knowledge into architecture that amplified cosmic energy. The Inca didn't conquer earthquakes with brute force engineering. They built walls that danced with tectonic shifts, their stones settling back into place like a clasped hand. Even Greek fire, for all its destructive power, hints at a deeper truth. Energy is neither good nor evil, but a mirror of the hands that wield it. This isn't about romanticizing the past or dismissing modern innovation. It's about recognizing that progress isn't always linear, sometimes it spirals, circling back to truths buried in time. The piezoelectric roads inspired by Malta's cart ruts, the algae-powered streetlights echoing Egypt's eternal lamps, the solar arrays arranged like Dogon star temples, these aren't coincidences. They're proof that the boundary between ancient and advanced is far blurrier than we've been taught. So here's the invitation: look backward to leap forward. The next energy revolution might not emerge from a Silicon Valley lab, but from a half-translated Sanskrit verse or a moss-covered stone alignment we've walked past for centuries. The solutions are already here, woven into the fabric of forgotten cultures, waiting for us to shed our assumptions and see them anew. Now it's your turn. Which of these lost marvels sparks your curiosity? Is it the eerie precision of the Antichithira Mechanism, or the living energy grids hidden in Celtic tree lore? Drop your thoughts below, and let's keep this conversation crackling like a Roman concrete battery. Don't forget to subscribe. History's untold stories are far from finished, and the next chapter might just hold the key to powering our world without plundering it. The future isn't just something we invent, it's something we remember.